Hello everyone. So last class we have seen the band diagram of solid, especially in silicon. So based on the energy band, I am going to divide the solid into three categories. So as it is well explained in this slide, the categories are insulators, semiconductor and metal. So we know in metal we have this is a conduction band and valence band, conduction band and valence band. So here the conduction band of metal, valence band, conduction band and valence band. So look at the metal first. So we learned that in previous class the majority of electrons available in the conduction band and valence band is literally empty, but in the case of metal it's not like that. The conduction band is filled with electrons and the valence band also partially filled in some cases. Some cases you cannot separate with a solid line where is the conduction band and where is the valence band in the case of metal. It is overlapped here. You can see it is overlapped here. Conduction band and valence band is overlapped. So there are already there are electrons ready to transfer energy from one side to other side. Okay, one side to other side. So here also already there are electrons in the partially filled valence band. So these electrons are responsible for the energy transmission from one side to another side. So that's about the metal. And coming into the insulator, you can see the conduction band and valence band are separated by a huge energy band. It will be more than 5 electron volt. More than 5 electron volt. So there is no chance of getting electron move from conduction band to valence band, which may responsible for the energy transfer. So insulators are non-conducting material. Okay, it will never conduct any kind of energy from one side to another side of the material. So we are interested here semiconductor. It's neither a insulator nor a metal. It lies in between these two category. So here in 0 Kelvin, that means at room temperature, the semiconductors are similar to insulator at room temperature. If you are not applying any external energy to the semiconductor, it is very similar to insulator. There will not be any conduction because electrons are completely filled in conduction band. There is no electrons in valence band. Valence band is completely empty. Okay. So if you apply some energy externally, automatically the electrons from the valence band get excited to conduction band, which will responsible for the conduction. So based on the energy band, valence band, conduction band, I can divide the solid into three categories: insulator, semiconductor and metal. And one important thing, you don't think only the conduction band and valence band energies are available. That is wrong. So look at this diagram. There are another energy levels also available in the solid, but we don't consider that because that energy never responsible for any sort of energy transfer in the material. Basically these energy bands are responsible for the energy transfer in this. Okay. Indirect and direct semiconductors. Okay, we have learned the different three types of solid based on the energy band. Now same thing only, based on the energy only, we are telling the semiconductor into two categories, that is direct and indirect semiconductors. So first of all we read these 2 points. you can see one equation here. Don't afraid of these equations. Don't worry, I'll tell you what it is. And the wave function of the electron is assumed to be in the form of a plane wave moving, for example, in the s direction with a propagation constant k. And this equation, this term is nothing but the modulates the waveform according to the periodicity of the lattice. So we'll see what it is. This is what the textbook explanation, I'll tell you what it is. So this indirect and direct semiconductor concept can be learned easily with this diagram. This diagram is known as EK diagram. EK diagram. So E stands for energy and K stands for this propagation constant. So this is also known as wave vector. Wave vector. So what exactly this we'll see. See, this is one unit cell of silicon. So the name of the structure is nothing but carbon cubic cell. So here you can see the blue colored these are the atom. This is atom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, these are the atom. These all are the atom. Okay. Yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are the atoms available in the lattice of the cube. And 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14 are available at the face of the cube. We have 6 faces, right? So one face is this. This is one face, right? I'm not drawing here. This is one face of the cube. Okay. So the atom at this face is 9. This is another face of the cube. 13 number is atom 13 number is at this face. Okay. And what other faces? This is another face of the cube. 11 is the face centered atom, and here also you can have another face. 14 is that. And similar way, here also we can have one more face. This is again another face. So here number 10. So that is a face centered atoms, and we have another 4 atom. Other than the face and lattice, we have a 4 atom. So one is here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is actually this atom connected to nearby faces and near lattice. This is the near lattice. Okay, nearby faces, this is one face, and this is another face, and here is the third face. So that is connected to all those faces. This atom connected to this face and this face atom, this face atom, and this lattice. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. So this is actually cubic structure, number of electrons, and the red lines are actually bonding, nothing else. And this not only red, this black also bonding between the atom. So there are a lot of electrons inside this atom specially. And when you are applying an external energy, what will happen? These electrons start moving from one side to another side. Okay, so we learned in the previous classes, when two atoms are brought together, their valence band become very common. Very common. If one nucleus, another nucleus, third nucleus, fourth nucleus. So if you bring all very near, the energy structure something like this, right? This is simply one dimensional diagram. For all 3s and 3p orbits are common to every nucleus. So electron can move from this side. If this is electron of the nucleus A can be easily moved to the same orbit of electrons of D, sorry, nucleus of D. Okay, so electron is freely movable between the atom A to D. So this more number of electrons are available in this structure. This probability of finding electron in this orbit is periodic. What does it mean? So some electrons may be here. Energy structure, some electrons may be here, right? What does it mean exactly? One idea I can give you. So electrons may be available here, okay? So many electrons may be available here, and here also electrons available. So here also electron available. The probability of finding electrons in this orbit is periodic. Okay, that's what the theory says. What the theory says, the probability of finding electron in this orbit is periodic. Okay, so that means in regular interval you can see the cluster of electrons. Okay, that actually causes the movement. Then that will propagate from one side to other side, and that is known as propagation constant. Okay, that moving equation is this. This is actually the equation for propagation. Okay, so forget that. I just want to explain this expression, how this expression comes. Okay, so based on the K value and based on the available energy value, we are going to draw this diagram, and this is my conduction band, this is my valence band, and here this is a conduction band, this is valence band. Okay, so the lower side, the lower end of the conduction band and the upper end of the valence band, the distance between lower end of the conduction band and upper end of the valence band is known as energy gap, energy band. Okay, so in direct semiconductor, and you see this in x-axis, the value is K, not a distance, and y-axis is energy. Okay, this K is something related to momentum. K is propagation constant, but it is something related to momentum. Related to momentum. Okay, that means moving of electrons. The momentum actually gives the movement, right? Yes. So here, see, once the electron excited from valence band to conduction band, in the case of direct semiconductor, okay, assume that one electron excited from here to here, right? Then hole will create here and electron will come here, right? So hole create here and electron will come here. What will happen later? The electron never stay in the excited state for long time. It's try to come back into stable state. So this electron will come back later. Automatically it will come back to this, come back to here and recombine with the hole and become stable. So we learned energy conservation theorem and the momentum conservation theorem. So energy cannot be created, neither created nor what is the law? Yeah, it's neither be created nor be destroyed. Yes. So there should be, this electron has some extra energy, right? That extra energy will be emit h nu, remit as h nu. That energy represent h nu, and it come back to stable state. This h nu is nothing but a light photon. It's nothing but a light photon. Okay. So in direct semiconductor, the top portion of the valence band and the lower portion of the conduction band having same K value, same propagation constant. So it can be come back to valence, but the electron can be come back to the valence band directly. So This type of semiconductor is known as direct semiconductor. Gallium arsenide is the example for direct semiconductor. Since it is emitting light, this gallium arsenide is used for manufacturing LEDs. Okay, this type of semiconductor is used for manufacturing LEDs. So now here in the case of indirect semiconductor, you can see this conduction band and valence band. That is not in the same propagation constant. Silicon, example is silicon. Silicon doesn't have same propagation constant. The electron which is there in the conduction band, the lower portion of the conduction band, and the holes which is created at the top of the valence band. This the momentum or the propagation constant is not same. Then how it happens? How it recombine? Recombination will happen irrespective of direct or indirect. Recombination will happen. The recombination will happen initially. It should lose the momentum. It should lose the propagation constant. It come back to some defect state is ET. So this state is known as defect state. Come back to some defect state. That defect state having the same momentum or same propagation constant as the holes available on top of the valence band, and it will recombine. And here also energy conservation theorem is applicable. Energy neither be created nor be destroyed. Then how the energy will emit? Energy will emit as a heat at the lattice. Heat at the lattice. So that is direct and indirect semiconductor. Why do I explain this equation? I just want to tell you what is K. Okay, K is the propagation constant. And what is propagating basically? Propagating electrons. Okay, how it propagates? It propagates periodically. So we can represent the propagation using one equation. That is what this. Okay, so in direct semiconductor is this much only. You should remember this EK diagram. Okay, if the K value is same for the valence band and conduction band, okay, lower end of the valence band and the upper end of the lower end of the conduction band and upper end of the valence band, if the propagation constant is same, it will directly recombine and it will emit a light. So this type of semiconductor used for manufacturing LED, and this type of semiconductor not able to use for preparing LED because it's not emitting light. Okay, so silicon is example for the indirect, and the gallium arsenide GaAs example for direct semiconductor.